last 20 years of playing guitar, I've bought loads of pedals thinking they would transform my tone, and most of them ended up either collecting dust or getting sold immediately. When it comes to metal, you have to be really careful what you put in your signal chain. There are a ton of pedals that promise brutal tone, but actually they end up destroying your clarity, your punch, and your tightness. So in this video, I'm breaking down 5 pedals you need to avoid if you play metal, and what you should be using instead to get that tight, crushing tone that you're after. So jumping in to number 1, the Electro Harmonix Metal Muff. The Metal Muff is everywhere. It screams metal in both name and branding, but in practice, it's thin, it's fizzy, and it's harsh. The gain is overcooked and it completely falls apart in a full band mix. If you've ever used one, you'll know what I mean. There's no body to the tone, just thin, brittle distortion, and a washy top end. What to use instead? Don't rely on distortion pedals for your tone. You need a good high gain amp, and then you want to boost that tone with something like a TS9 Tube Screamer. It tightens the low end, gives your pick attack more bite, and actually works with your amp's gain, not against it. Number 2, the Boss Metal Zone MT2 pedal. The Metal Zone is legendary, but mostly for the memes. It's known for its ultra scooped sound, over-processed mid-range, and basically unusable distortion. If you're stacking this pedal into a modern metal amp, you're not improving your tone at all. You're actually making it worse. I've owned one, and trust me, it doesn't hold up, and it very quickly got sold on eBay. What you should use instead. If you want more tone control, skip distortion pedals and instead use something like an EQ pedal. You could use a Boss GE7 in the front of your amp, or you can even run it in the effects loop to sculpt your post-gain tone. Combine that with a boost pedal like the Tube Screamer, Maxon OD808 or the Fortin 33, and you'll get way better results than a Boss Metal Zone. Number 3, the Digitech Death Metal Pedal. This one is basically just chaos in a box. The Digitech Death Metal pedal is gain on gain on gain, but none of it is usable. Buzzy, it's messy, and it completely lacks in note definition. It's the kind of tone that sounds pretty brutal in isolation, but completely dies in a mix or playing with any other musician, especially a drummer. What you should use instead. If you're genuinely after that chainsaw tone, like bands like Entombed or Harriot, then you want something that's built for that job. Try the KMA Machine's Worm or the Cleartone Grindstein or the Cleartone Chainsaw. They also have a blend control so you can blend in other distortion pedals, and they have lots of control over tones like treble, mids and bass. So you can actually use that tone musically. Or basically just go for the classic Boss HM2 if you know how to tame it. Or just grab a B and put it in a can. In at number 4 we have the Boss HM2. The HM2 pedal is iconic, but very misunderstood. Most people, they plug it in, they're expecting modern metal tones, and then they're horrified by what they actually hear. It's noisy, it's nasal, and it's completely unmanageable unless you know exactly what you're doing. I had one. I thought it sounded awful, but then I learned how to use it properly. I realised that you have to have all the dials on 11, and then basically put it in front of a clean amp or a distorted amp to get that kind of Swedish bee in a jar chainsaw metal sound, which is great if you're working on that kind of stuff, but if you're not, like me, and you want to play Metallica, it's not really going to do that. It kind of only works really well for that one thing. What you should get instead, unless you're deliberately chasing that Swedish death metal sound, you're better off running a Maxon OD808 or a Boss SD1 or even a Fortin 33 into the front of a real high gain amp. That's how you get tight metal tones without sounding like a chainsaw in a tin can. Number 5, the Proco Rat pedal. The Rat is another legendary pedal, but I wouldn't say it was really good for today's metal styles. It was used back in the day to push old Marshalls that just didn't have enough gain, and in that context, it really worked. But if you try it with a modern amp today, it's just going to muddy everything and not give you the desired tone that you're looking for. It's got this grainy gain structure that fights your amp rather than enhancing it. It's not very transparent, it's really woolly sounding. I had one for a while. I used it for a bit to sound a bit like Metallica because, you know, those bands back in the day put a Rat pedal in front of a Marshall, you know, a big stack with hardly any gain in the amp, but the pedal does all the talking. And I don't think it really worked with today's modern pickups, modern guitars, modern speakers. It just does that one sound from way back when, but doesn't really do modern metal, and I didn't really like it. It just kind of sounded like it was putting a cloth over my speaker, and I didn't enjoy that at all. What you should use instead, for a tight aggressive tone that complements modern metal amps, as always, stick with a boost. TS9, Maxon OD808s, 14 grinds, or even the KHDK Paranormal. These are built to shape and enhance, not dominate your tone. Alright, so that was 5 pedals I personally think all metal guitarists should avoid. I've tried them, I've sold them, and I've never looked back. Let me know in the comments if you've used any of these pedals, and if they actually worked for you. I know some of you might swear by the Boss Metal Zone or the HM2, and I'm ready for the debate. And if you want the pedals I recommended and the ones I actually use myself, check the links in the description below. Those are the ones I trust for a proper metal tone.